Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Tazed Logic podcast. Today, we will be talking about Godzilla versus Kong, Titan versus Titan, radioactive lizard versus big monkey. Just an amazing, amazing film, matchup of the century, something we've all been waiting for. I don't know how many people have seen the original Godzilla versus King Kong, but if you have, that is a badass movie too. And if you really dug this one, go back, check some of those old ones out. The highlight to me of this movie were two things. One, the VFX. VFX were incredible. I loved it. It's rare that you have a movie like this where just all of the effects across the board just looked so real and so perfect. And then to me, the other one was Gia, the little girl who bonded with Kong. She really stole my heart on this movie. She was just so cute, and the way she really pushed the story forward and acted as a sort of liaison between the scientists and Kong is just beautiful. And I love the way that whole thing was done. Gonna have everybody introduce themselves before we dive in even further. We'll start with Dad. You go.
I am Rob Graydon.
Hi, I'm EJ Acosta.
Jesus.
Hey, I'm Jesus Felix, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. Jake.
I'm Jake Graydon, and I'm also glad to be back because I can't leave.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, I thought the use of a music in this one was just awesome. Like, I don't know how many people are fans of Adam Wingard, but if you go through his catalog, he always has awesome music in his movies, and it's not always obvious music either, right? Like there was a little bit of Elvis in here, some of the Hollies that we'll talk about later on. If you watched what was the movie he did, You're Next or Death Note, there's some really good use of music in that. So if you like his use of music in this, I recommend checking out some of his other movies. There's some really wacky use of music in some of those. I love the credits, the redacted credits that they keep sort of consistent through all of these MonsterVerse movies. I thought they were really cool. The use of the tournament style bracket to show all of the guys that Kong had beat, and then all the guys that Godzilla had beaten, and then right there matchup to start us off. I thought that was just absolutely great. Reminded me of The Incredibles, when Mr. Incredible's running through all the files and it's like, this guy's killed. I thought it was great. And then the John Carpenter style titles, when it was just Godzilla versus Kong and shimmering, that was amazing. Come on, man. Who wasn't excited by that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like such a big matchup. My big question is like, where do they go from here after that? Like, who do you put these
I mean, I have some theories and speculation. We can talk about that as we get on, but I think the only way to go up from here is destroy all monsters, which is, if you haven't seen that, that's another classic. Go back and watch. If I really hope that that's where they end up with this, because I'd love to see that, man.
Yeah. Destroy All Monsters was the end game of its day. You know, it pretty much starred like every Toho monster.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on to like some of the human characters. Like a lot of these movies, nobody cares about the human characters because you only want to see the two monsters fight. But I thought this one had some decent enough human actors because, you know, they had such a great cast. I thought Brian Tyree Henry was wonderfully goofy and a little out there, but in the best of ways. Like I said, the little girl was really good. Skarsgård was, you know, he's just a great actor. So to see him in just a little part like this was quite fun. And then the use of Godzilla's original theme from the 30s and 40s was very cool. But to see it modernized and updated, I thought was just killer.
Actually, I think in the 50s and 60s.
50s and 60s. Was it?
Yeah.
Is it
the first Godzilla was 1954?
I'm usually really good with my movie years. That one I'm not, because it was post World War II.
Right. So well, that's what you want to remember, is that it was a reaction to the Godzilla was the original film was a reaction to the atomic bomb being dropped in Japan. and so it was more of a political satire than anything else.
Now watching this one where they spend the entire movie nuking him feels a little tone deaf, but
Yeah.
we'll slide past that. Yeah, and I love at the beginning seeing Kong sort of test the dome, because right off the bat, one, it was a very cool visual to see just this dome that they've imprisoned Kong in, but it also right off the bat shows you that Kong is pretty intelligent, right? Like throughout the movie, you see a lot of Kong flexing his intelligence throughout it.
Yeah, and it sets up like the use of weapons too, that like
Exactly.
fashion something and later on obviously with the axe.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, it also conveys an underlying theme that's been in these films from the original King Kong from 33 or Godzilla from 54, is that there's always this level of human arrogance. You know, to think that if you just make a hologram of his world, he's going to believe that he's still in the same place, you know, just because he's a big dumb ape or whatever. And those things always the basis of why everything always backfires.
Yeah, no, that's great. You're right. I didn't even pick up. That is really good.
It kind of reminded me of Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
With the
that was awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of great stuff. A lot of the interactions with the humans where Gia signs coward, but she tells him that it means to be really brave. I thought that was really funny.
I'd say it. Gia was like right up there with Godzilla and Kong, man. I loved her so much. She was like stealing every scene she was in for me. She was one of the best parts of the movie.
I mean, like, sorry about that.
No.
Yeah, like for me, I was a little worried before that I was gonna like kind of suffer that Transformers effect, like where I like want to see the big guys and I don't really want to worry about the human characters. But for me, like in this film, I feel like I didn't really have that problem. For me, everybody was super strong.
Yeah, I definitely think it's helped by having such a colossal heavy hitting cast. Like, I mean, these are really some, like Stellan Skarsgård and Brian Tyree Henry are two of my favorite actors working right now. You got Isaac Gonzalez, you've got can't remember her name, from Rebecca Hall, who's an amazing actor in her own right. And I just think getting an amazing cast like this together really helps sell some of these movies.
Well, that was always that thing, you know, from the old 70s, for the disaster films. If you watch any of the good disaster films, the characters aren't particularly well thought out or well developed. But what they do is they get these amazing actors to play them, so that you just believe them, and basically their characters serve whatever the disaster is. And in this case, it's, you know, this is the giant monsters.
And one thing I want to get into one thing I loved that I don't think every versus movie does. Like, there are a lot of movies where two big people are fighting. But what I loved about this movie is that they had a really awesome and believable reason for why the two monsters were fighting. It would have been just cool if they just randomly were fighting. But what I loved about it was they set Godzilla up throughout all of these movies to have almost like this little bit of an ego. So in the first movie, he beat the Mutos. And so he started getting a little bit more of an ego. And by the time his second film came out, he became the king of the monsters. He defeated Rodan. He defeated King Ghidorah. And so when he sees Kong, exactly, bowing down to him. So like he saw himself like, oh, I'm the king of the monsters now. And when he sees Kong, he doesn't necessarily see him as a threat, but he sees him as someone that needs to bow to him. He needs to physically see him submit to Godzilla, king of the monsters. And I love that they threw that in there and gave like an actual character reason as to why Godzilla was acting the way he was.
Absolutely, which, you know, brings right to their first confrontation on the boats, which is just fantastic, right? When the theme comes in, it's like dun, 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 and and the flying by and Godzilla's wiping them out with his tail. It's just so epic in its scale. And you know, again, I said this earlier, but hats off to the VFX artists, man. Like they were working overtime on this one. Like the more because we just started learning Blender, which is how VFX software. So the more I'm learning about VFX, the more of an appreciation I'm having for VFX, and it's just wild to see some of the stuff that they were doing in this one. And this is a great shot of Kong when the boat tips over, he turns it back and he like rips off the chains off of himself. Just a beautiful shot, and it definitely reminded me of some of those early King Kong, the first King Kong movie, where he's like all chained up in New York City, and I thought it was a cool, neat little reference or a nod or to that, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then Kong, each of them strategizing to keep in that fight, like Godzilla. Jake brought this up when we were watching it, is sort of strategizing like an animal would. He's circling, he's waiting for his moment to strike, and Kong is strategizing intellectually, where he's trying to get away from the little girl, so he's hopping from ship to keep her safe. And then Godzilla ultimately destroys that boat, chokes him with his tail, which was just nuts, and like is dragging deeper into the water. And the humans in turn fire depth charges to rescue Kong. I
would almost think that those depth charges would like almost like do them both harm. I was thinking, wait, what are they doing?
For sure. Well, if you look at the end of the movie, Kong's definitely got some scratches on him. Like he definitely didn't walk away unscathed.
Also loved. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Oh, I loved during that fight how it ended. Godzilla wasn't necessarily trying. He wasn't trying to kill King Kong, but like you see him just like poke his head out of the water and like again wanting to see Kong submit. And the humans sort of do that, like they said, they're playing dead. Like they turn off the boat, they make sure everyone's staying still, they make sure Kong's staying still. And again, I love that, like how smart Kong is, because like he played dead for a minute because he knew he couldn't battle Kong on his own domain. Like he was just like completely out of his element. And meanwhile, Godzilla's like in the water where he always is. So I love, again, just seeing how smart and intelligent they handled that fight. It wasn't just two big monsters fighting each other, which again, this movie absolutely could have passed with just two monsters fighting each other. But I love that they give like character and purpose to each of the actions between the two monsters.
Absolutely. There really is such rich characterization for each of them that have been developed over the last couple movies. I love that they brought back the skull crawlers, which was a pretty amazing way of showing you Mechagodzilla, because if you've seen the first Kong Skull Island, like those things are formidable. And big spoiler alert. First off, if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know what you're doing here, but big spoiler alert. Mechagodzilla. So to bring those skull crawlers in to fight Mechagodzilla, only for them to rip them apart like it's nothing, was a real quick way of showing you how truly formidable he is. Because these dudes were rough in Skull Island, and to just have them rip them apart so easily, really right off the bat showed you how tough Mechagodzilla was. Yeah.
I was just so hyped to see Mechagodzilla, because I remember when I was like a little kid, my favorite Godzilla toy was the Mechagodzilla toy. So I was like, oh,
yeah,
sick.
My dad has one in his room that he's had since we were kids too, and I remember every now and then playing with that thing, and it was just, yeah, you're right, just one of the coolest designs classically, and then bringing it back into the 21st century I thought was really cool. And then to have the link be very similar to Pacific Rim, I thought was pretty cool. I know at one point they were planning to do Godzilla meets Pacific Rim. I don't know if they're still planning on it, but either way, I thought it was very cool that they did a visually similar type of link to Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
And then to bring Mechagodzilla, to link him to Ghidorah, I thought was a brilliant thing to do. Because you brought You brought the Mechagodzilla
Thank
toy
you.
out. At some point, wait.
That is awesome.
That's great.
I have
I'm
mine
just gonna
right.
leave him here. Oh, nice. I'll put him on the other side. Put him here.
I'll set him
Cool.
up.
We got a Godzilla party going on, huh?
Yeah. There we
Well, that
go.
was sort of the
Okay.
cool thing too. That was, you had to really watch all the films to get, was that Godzilla wasn't so much battling Mechagodzilla as he was battling King Ghidorah. Because it was his essence that's why when he there's that great moment when he grabs Godzilla and opens his mouth and he's about to like shoot down, because that's how he died, and it was that was his way of revenge, of getting Godzilla back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I thought it was a brilliant way of creating instant tension between the two of them. Kind of reminded me of bringing General Zod back in
Right.
Batman, and I thought that was also a great thing. And then the journey to the center of the earth. That what a beautiful sequence that was, from going to Antarctica down into this almost 2001 like journey through, and then to see this beautiful Skull Island-esque hollow earth territory that we haven't seen yet. There have definitely been hints of stuff like this in the other movies. There's definitely like a mythos that has been hinted at in the other movies, but to see it here was just absolutely beautiful. And then the play of gravity was another interesting thing to throw in, because it's the center of the earth. There's two different planes of gravity that are going on, and I thought that was a really cool thing, along with all the monsters and all the beauty of it all. I thought it was just a really interesting play field for Kong to go through.
One of my favorite
I'm
shots,
sorry, go ahead.
one of my favorite shots in this film is when Kong's standing there and he's looking at all the floating rocks, and he's just standing there admiring it.
Yeah,
Cool,
I thought that was
Great shot.
and then when he finally gets to the palace, you get this great shot of it, and it's definitely reminiscent of the original Kong, when they get to Skull Island and those doors that they have to walk through, which is always just an amazing. Anytime they reference one of the old movies, I just get a little giddy, and that little kid comes out. I'm like,
Yeah. And Spielberg actually references that same shot too in Jurassic Park when they first go through, and the big doors that say Jurassic Park, and the doors are sort of open. That's taken right from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's a weird thing that we kind of discussed, which is Kyle Chandler's in both this.
Yeah.
He's in the last Pacific Rim. He's in the last Godzilla movie, but he's also in Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yeah.
He played the actor in the stage play.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
amazing. Naomi Watts plays the actress who they're trying to shoot, but he's the actor on the ship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He has a strong connection with Kong. I think it's in his contract that he has to be in every Kong movie. And then so circling back to Kong's palace, I thought the scale of it all was just amazing, to show this big epic palace that's big for Kong, but then when they bring the humans into it and everything's so much bigger, the way they shot it, I thought was just absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Or that he had a throne, which I thought was amazing.
Or the throne waiting for him. King Kong had a throne right there. And then when he puts the axe in the ground and you get the irradiated Godzilla skeleton on the ground, that was just, come on.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That is a tattoo waiting to happen, that image of a Godzilla on the ground.
Right here on my shoulder.
Yeah.
I also want to applaud the genius who decided to make King Kong a weapon and an axe, and the axe head was one of Godzilla's fins,
Scales.
I guess.
Yeah, it's his spine.
So
Brilliant.
awesome. That's such a cool idea. This movie is filled with just brilliant ideas for everything. It was brilliant idea of like we said before, bringing Mechagodzilla in. They didn't just shoehorn him in. You felt like he naturally fit. just a brilliant idea to get them to confront each other. I could talk about this movie forever. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, there's a lot of really good stuff in this. The way he kills Isaac Gonzalez was badass when he just crushes
They
the ship.
he just like crushes it. Yeah.
I just thought the way that was shot was
But
brilliant.
he put no effort into it either. He just they were just like, this is something annoying that's in the way.
Yeah. And then Kong coring his way through the earth with his dragon breath was just nuts. That was phenomenal. And then when you get to the fight, you can see again what we talked about, like strategy being used and learning from the different journeys they've each been on in the different movies. Because Godzilla at some point, like he hook bites Kong's neck, and that was totally a Ghidorah move that he learned from. If you go back, it's the exact same move. Ghidorah like clamping down on his neck is the exact same move that Godzilla uses here against Kong when he pins him against the wall, which I thought was great. And then there's that beautiful flying shot where the hover car thing, whatever, is flying up from the ground, and it flies up past Kong through the building that's just been blown up by Godzilla, past Godzilla. That was a beautiful shot to not only show scale, but just it's cool. Like to go from Kong to Godzilla in one shot was just amazing, epic.
And I was telling Josh and Jake earlier too, when you see these shots of like from the cockpit's point of view, getting really close to Godzilla like that, or really close to Kong, and all I kept thinking to myself, man, they are totally setting up a Kong versus Godzilla ride at Universal Studios. You know, you look at that and you're like, that's absolutely what they're doing. Which take my money now, because I'm going on that.
I would absolutely go on that. That'd be great. The whole fight was just nuts from like beginning to end. You know, with any of these movies, I think initially any anxieties or worries you have about the movie would be like, oh, are they going to show enough of the fight?
Yeah.
And this one does not disappoint.
Yeah.
They showed quite a lot of this fight. When Kong blocks that beam, he jumps up, blocks the beam, and then brings it right down onto Kong. Like, so fucking badass, man.
Yeah, or that moment at the end when Kong and Godzilla, you realize, are working together. You know, like Mecha Godzilla is like strangling Kong, and he's holding the axe, and Godzilla sees the axe, and he like blows his breath to activate to like charge up the axe. Great moment. Yeah,
great team there to just, and that's how they knock him apart. Like, it was great teamwork too. Because again, talk characterization and character development. They both had to work together in that moment, and they did, and I thought it was just absolutely awesome. Then there's right before Mecha comes up, the first thing we see is when he turns on the CEO guy, and he's just giving his bad guy speech, and he's rambling and talking, and you see the eyes turn that corner and move towards him slowly, and you see all the guards like scrambling out of the room and stuff, and he's like still giving his bad guy speech, and he just knocks him out like that. Oof, how badass was that? That's a proud moment.
Yeah, and it's also real Adam Wingard sort of style to it too, because if you look at like, you know, he if you look at his really sort of underrated work, like in the VHS movies, you know, there's that story where he gets where Adam Wingard actually is in it, and he gets that sort of bionic eye that can record things, and he just starts recording dead people and stuff, and that shot is kind of very close to like things that happen in that film. So you could see the sort of beginnings of where a shot like that comes from.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely shots where like ghosts are like sneaking up and shit. You could see very similar ideas being played with there. I really think he's gonna be like the next big guy. Like I could see him doing a DC movie after this. You know, he just keeps going up and up and up with what he's doing, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, I feel he's either going to be snatched up by the MCU or the DCU to make a film.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see his interpretation of the. Is he doing Master of the Universe, or is he doing no? What's the one with
Thundercats? Is it Thundercats?
That's the
Thundercats.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I think that they're doing like a CG animation hybrid thing with that one. It's gonna be cool. I love talk about references to the old one when Kong's on top of the giant building that's shaped suspiciously a lot like the Empire State Building. That I thought that was a cool, neat little reference. And then Ghidorah taking over was again one of those strokes of genius ideas that I thought was just great.
Yeah.
You know, instant conflict with Godzilla. It was awesome. Yeah, and then they duke it out for quite a bit. The great shot when Kong wakes up, like he's died supposedly, and they charge him back up, and he wakes up. His like shoulders dislocating, us to like rocket into the right into the.
It's his Lethal Weapon 2 moment.
Yeah, one of the most badass you can do. Is just so cool. And then Mechagodzilla doing the Muto attack from the 2014 Godzilla, where he like opens up his mouth, he's gonna blast him. That's right when Kong comes in, knocks him on his ass. Thought it was just amazing. The supercharging the axe thing, both of them going back and forth was just, come on, man. After seeing a whole fucking 2 hours of them beating the crap out of each other, they gave us them working as a team. Amazing, brilliant.
I was just really bummed out that that Kong lost that fight, because I was Team Kong.
I was Team Kong all the way, but I'll tell you what, man, he did not. He came back swinging in that Mechagodzilla fight. He didn't disappoint. He didn't
feel like I'm the only one that was rooting for Godzilla.
I feel like Godzilla was a dick in this movie, honestly, for most of this movie.
He's a dick. He runs around destroying whole cities.
Exactly. Like he was just casually destroying all of Hong Kong in that final fight. Yeah. He's a humongous dick. But like I want to see him win.
Character. He's a big dick. Just ruins everybody's day. Kills thousands, millions even. Like how many people died in that fight because of Godzilla and his ass? Like,
exactly.
Just like he left and right.
Right, he would just pick up King Kong and just throw him into entire buildings that would crumble to the ground. That's like hundreds, if not thousands, of people dead.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I loved it.
That Zack Snyder destroyed cities too much. Like nobody destroys cities like King Kong and Godzilla. These guys can wipe out an entire countryside in an afternoon.
I think definitely, like for me, like probably the reason why I was rooting more for Kong is because like they kind of like set him up to be, you know, the hero of this, and also the human factor. Like, when you look at Kong, he looks more like a human than Godzilla does, so it's just like I can relate with him more.
I agree with that. I was fully Team Kong, and I thought his sort of character arc in this was really well done. Because we had already had 2 movies of Godzilla. We had a really good movie of King Kong, but I felt like this really balanced it out with some good Kong content. Definitely seeing some that I thought was great.
It was more his story than Godzilla's story.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was. I thought it was really well written in Kong's favor. And then to have Kong rip off Mechagodzilla's head in the most victorious, badass way possible was just amazing. Like rips it off, holds it right in the camera's face. Come on, who wasn't cheering in their seats when that happened, man? Awesome.
There were so many moments like that. They were like just audience pleasing or audience.
Oh no, we lost Jake. What happened? You left.
Yeah, he's in the middle of talking. You cut out. You're like completely gone.
Just dropped out. Did I get kicked out? We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Which is wild because he's like 10 feet from us. So I don't know why.
I'm looking at him right now, scrambling to.
Yeah, we need some elevator music to be playing while.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, here it is.
I have no idea what happened, but I'm laughing about it anyway. Anyway, I have no idea the audience like applause moments. I love, like, there were so many of those. My favorite out of all of them was when Millie Bobby Brown and Brian Tyree Henry and I don't remember the other actor's name, but the kid from Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
When they what?
Julian Dennison is the kid's name.
Oh, okay. When Julian Dennis and all 3 of them get into that big, almost like arena-like room. My favorite, just like audience-pleasing moment was when the ground opens up and they're like, "Oh, that's Robot Godzilla," and the kid's like, "No, that's Mecha Godzilla," and he turns on and stands up. His eyes glow red.
I think that's
Oh my
probably
God.
the scene for me where I wasn't annoyed by that kid the whole time.
I love that they kept calling him tap water. Like
Yeah.
that's such a funny, cheesy bit of exchange there, but still quite funny to me.
I actually found myself quite a few times throughout this film when they were cutting to the Millie Bobby Brown storyline. I was kind of like, can we get back to the other stuff? You know, I felt like
Yeah,
that storyline for me was kind of like a drag for me.
definitely watching it a second time, I felt that, but like, I don't know, man. I could watch Brian Tyree Henry read a newspaper. Like anytime he's on screen, I just love him, man. Like if you've watched Atlanta, you know what I'm talking about. Like he's just an amazing actor. Jesus knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's just great in that. So I love seeing him work, and just even if he was just in there for one scene, I would have loved it. And to just see him over the course of this was just amazing to me. I love that they use "The Air That I Breathe" by the Hollies over the end credits, because that's just a personal favorite song of mine. It was cool to see it in such a big movie like that. So I love anytime there's songs that I love that are kind of obscure and they get thrown in a movie. It's just an extra added cool factor, you know.
Well, probably one of my favorite moments from that scene was, Kong's back in his element. He's, in the core of the earth, sort of like his own, like world-sized, like Skull Island.
Yeah.
And he lands in front of the little girl, and you get this wonderful reaction shot of her, and he just signs like home to her.
It's a great moment.
And it's such a great moment because it just completes his story, and it completes her side of the story just in the same action of him just saying home to her. And like, I love that, we get all these awesome fights between the monsters, but I feel like having those like smaller human moments almost makes the big fights feel better. Like they amplify and complement each other. It's something I really love. That little girl was just the best part of the movie.
And it's not an easy thing to have CG characters get that personal. It takes a lot of, performance capture and just really good animation on the part of the effects team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. As we're wrapping it up, what was everybody's favorite scene or moment in the movie? Did everybody have one?
I think for me, definitely my favorite moment is when Kong rips off Mecha Godzilla's head, and he's just like, we kind of have that Joe Rogan because he monkey moment,
Yeah. No, that was great. I think my favorite moment was it was either that or when Kong does the shoulder, relocating his shoulder into the building. It was just such a badass little moment. Anybody else favorite scenes?
Enter into like the Hollow Earth stuff. I love that. And obviously the team up when they were starting to, fight Mega Godzilla together. That was definitely a highlight.
That was some good stuff.
Yeah.
I really love the design of the Hollow Earth world.
Yeah, if they could do like a whole movie on that alone, I would love it.
I would love that, man. That would be great.
I have a feeling that's where, if they do a Destroy All Monsters, it'll take place there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because there's so many monsters you haven't seen that are probably roaming around there.
Maybe even like more Kongs hanging around somewhere, like secret ones. Like I would love for them to do the New York story at some point. Just someone step foot in New York at some point. The Kong.
Yeah, that'd be great if they.
And they definitely paid homage to that, like when he's in Hong Kong, when he goes up on the building, he's climbing the building.
Yeah,
It's definitely reminiscent of the Empire State Building moment.
Absolutely. Dad, did you have a favorite moment?
Yeah, I think my favorite moment was more the intimate stuff, like when the little girl goes out on the deck of the ship while it's raining, and they just have that great little moment together. I think that was that because that to me is the type of thing that you were talking about, that sort of brings that sort of stitches together these characters, and it's not just a giant monster movie fight.
Absolutely. Jake, did you have one?
Yeah, I had two favorite moments. My two, I know I'm cheating by picking two, but my two favorite moments was the Mecha Godzilla reveal. That just whole scene again where he picks up the skull crawler. Yeah, skull crawler,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I actually didn't see Kong Skull Island, and I feel terrible about it. And he picks it up and just breathes whatever that beam is and cuts it in half. And then probably my favorite moment, maybe even more than that, was like my dad said, was when Gia, I think the girl's name was, when she walked out on the deck and had that little moment with Kong, and she sort of reached her finger out, and in that moment, he wasn't panicking anymore. He just completely calmed down and like moved his hand down, and they just had that intimate moment where they just sort of like touched each other. I don't know. It was very wonderful. It was a great moment.
Yeah, that was a great one. All right, and then finally, Team Kong or Team Godzilla? Dad.
I'm gonna be Team Kong.
Ooh, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as I love
I know
Godzilla.
right here, but I gotta go Team Kong too. EJ.
Yeah, Team Kong as well.
All right. Jesus.
Oh, Team Monkey. Team Kong. Team Kong all the way.
Jake, you're the last one. I think. You left.
He just left. He just left the.
Who is doing this to me? Who did that? He was so ashamed he had to leave.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't pick Godzilla. I'm gonna here.
So I
All
just
right.
asked real quick, when we went into the Hollow Earth, was anyone else looking for Brendan Fraser down there? Because
I did the same thing. I literally said the same thing. I was like, for the sequel, they got to get Brendan Fraser to show up. I was like, even if it's just like a little cameo.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm so glad we were on the same wavelength because I said the exact same thing when we were watching it.
Fuck you to whoever kicked me out because you knew I was gonna pick Godzilla. You knew I was gonna pick Godzilla, and I was brought back into, and I had to say it to
It was
everyone's faces.
the Zoom gods that knew.
yeah,
Yeah, Zoom gods were. Oh.
King Kong came back. Get revenge on you for picking Godzilla over him.
All right. So does anybody have anything they want to add? Closing thoughts for the movie?
Well, for me, definitely, it was definitely a lot better than I was expecting because I was almost expecting to get just like a big mindless monster fight movie, but this definitely gave me a lot more than I was expecting. I'm gonna have to give this one like an 8.5 out of 10.
Definitely agree. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't seen any of the monster movies, I would definitely recommend going back and watching some of the old ones. They're amazing. If you've got HBO Max already because you watched this movie, tons of them are on there, and just go back, watch them, and then also get your hand on some of Adam Wingard's films. The two VHS 1 and VHS 2 are great. Your Next is really good. Death Note is an underrated film that I really enjoy. We actually have a podcast episode of that we recorded months ago that will be coming out soon. Hopefully next week. And yeah, so he's always doing fun and interesting stuff. And I would definitely, if you like this one, recommend going back and checking out some of his other work because he doesn't miss, in my opinion. It's always his own style. I could definitely see not liking his style, but for me, it's always a hit. I love his stuff. All right. So that has been our review for Godzilla versus Kong. And we will not review, it's more of a discussion. I don't like the term review.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a qualified critic, but this is our discussion of Kong versus Godzilla. And we will see you all on the next one. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.